What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we're going to be talking about some progressive events that will be happening for the CVC that's happening tomorrow in about 20 hours. If you guys are around on YouTube tomorrow, I will be streaming CVC roughly a couple hours after it starts. So make sure you guys drop on by for that. With that all being said, let's jump into the progressive events that are happening. So each one of these are a different set of days. So each event will last one day. We got on the first day, on Tuesday, January 27th, they're launching a 15x progressive event to launch the following champions. Now, the big one here, there's some good champions here. So like Wallmaster is very good. Can solo Hard Spider, for example, does enemy max HP, block buffs. Yuzol, Roto, Sanguine Maria, they're all pretty good for damage. But the big one here, obviously, that they're trying to highlight is Basim, one of the Assassin's Creed champions from the Sacred Order here. So Basim, yeah, there he is. I did do a showcase on him. If you guys want to check it out, make sure you guys do that. I'm going to provide a link somewhere here. But yeah, in general, he's a pretty good damage dealer. He does place Veil on himself, and he does benefit quite a bit from the Veil. He's going to be a Force Affinity attack-based damage dealer. Now let's check out his kit here real quick. He's got an A1 double hit. He's got a chance to place Weaken. With Veil, that chance goes up to 100%. And then he also applies a debuff spread on one random debuff. And if he has Veil, then it goes up to 100%. Now, even without Veil, it's a pretty decent percentage. It's 50% chance twice. So cumulatively, that's 75% on both hits. Pretty good. So even without Veil, this ability is still very solid. Doesn't gain too much value from Veil. But his A2 here is an AoE, will ignore 15% of the target's defense, will ignore 30% of the target's defense if he's under Veil. So this, he does benefit a good deal from. So if he's under Veil, he hits much harder. He also has a 100% chance when fully booked of placing block active skills, which is really, really good. And then the Veil gives that debuff the ability to go through block debuffs, which is also very good. This ability hits pretty hard. You guys can see him up from my showcase, but I do have him under Veil when he is applying this. And then we go to his A3, which is the ability that places the Veil on himself. It's a 3-turn Veil. It's good, but he does use up one of the turns with his extra turn mechanic here. It's a single target hit, and the damage will increase for each buff and debuff on this champion and the target up to 100%. So 20 buffs slash debuffs to max this out. This actually hits pretty hard, but you can't really control like the debuffs that are coming your way most of the time. And in terms of overall buffs, you're not going to have like 10 buffs each to max out. So you really need like a mix of buffs and debuffs to get the full 100% stack. But you're probably guaranteed to get at least, a good chunk of a damage boost from this ability. It's a 4-turn cooldown, so it's not, not the quickest, but it does have an extra turn mechanic built into it. He does have kind of like a thief style passive here. Whenever this champion is attacked, steal one random buff from the attacker and transfer one random debuff. There's a little bit of a, buff steal swap ability here, and then it ignores polymorph. He also will ignore 25% of the target's resistance when using skills if this champion is under Veil or Perfect Veil. So this kind of reduces the accuracy requirements on him to land some of his abilities. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any kind of accuracy ignore or anything like that in his kit. So even with Veil, he still requires accuracy if you want him to land block actives, if you want him to land weaken, if you want him to do his debuff spread, he still requires accuracy. So there's no ignore resistance or anything like that, or any kind of unblockable shenanigans, unfortunately. But then you do get a little bit of relief here with 25% ignore resistance. You still have to build him with accuracy, so that hurts his overall damage. The rest of the non-voids on day one are all solid. Like I said, Wallmaster, Yuzol, Rotos, Sanguine Maria. But obviously they're going to be highlighting Basim here. The voids here are decent, are pretty good. Queen of Hearts, obviously very, very good champion as well. And then we have Necrit the Great. And then we have Onryo Lamassu. These are all good champions in their own right. I don't think a lot of people would be chasing these champions, unfortunately. But that's totally fine. These progressive events are, high levels of scam. The odds of you getting these champions are very, very small, even if you do hit a champion off boosted rates. So just keep that all in mind. It's very much to catch people that are interested in the Assassin's Creed collab. Keep in mind that if you guys wanted Basim and you guys are trying to pull for him, it's about a 5% chance to get him if you get a legendary, which is already a very small percentage of the time. And I would say that there's a very high chance that Basim has his own guaranteed event sometime in the future. Like this collab is going to last until the first week of April, so there's still a lot of time left. So I wouldn't jump the gun and try to go for this progressive for Basim here. So yeah, just stay strong, hang in there, hold on to your shards, and we'll probably see more events for these champions later on in the future. So let's jump on to day 2, Wednesday, January 28th, same progressive event. And they're going to have a boost on Kassandra, Michinaki, Roxam, Ragash, Granite Doorkeep, and that's for the non-voids. For the voids, we have Galut, Odin, Tunisia. So the big one here is probably going to be Kassandra. Obviously, if you missed the fusion, Kassandra is the first Argonite here. I think she's got a little bit of a bad rap, I think. I did quite a bit of testing on her, played a good amount of hours before everybody else started getting their hands on her. I thought she was okay as a kind of like a PvE player, PvE champion. She did okay damage or decent damage against the boss, like clan boss, and against Hydra boss. But she did require some pretty good gear to do that. She has speed in all battles. She got an A1 triple hit here, potentially a 6 hitter. This is a pretty good A1, single target, turn meter pushback, and a turn meter boost on herself. And then she has a decreased defense HP burn, and then an AoE stun if it hits a certain damage threshold. This is a really strong ability. She doesn't really have she doesn't have any AoE abilities, but her total damage output is quite high. So if you gear her to deal damage, she can do a lot of damage for you. She does do self buff with increased attack, shatter, increased speed, and she cleanses herself with a turn meter boost. This passive is really cool, prevents her death if she has all 3 of these buffs. The problem is like the cycling ability of this is not that great. It's a 4-turn cooldown. She doesn't gain any extra turn mechanics, so you kind of need this to get like refreshed. So it's you kind of need this to get refreshed, or you kind of need her to at least be able to survive a hit or two or a turn or two, so that you can get back to it. Her passive is also interesting. It gives her a big attack boost or a big defense boost based on the enemy that's attacking or the enemy that you are attacking. So yeah, it's a pretty cool passive, but it's a one-time kind of thing. It doesn't stack or anything like that. So it's not like busted. I think she's okay. I don't think she's terrible. And she's going to be good for faction wars. And Argonite, she's the first champion, so it's definitely good to start building out those faction war teams right away. Like she does have some wave control elements. She does do good boss damage. And she does bring decreased defense on a boss target. So she can be very good, I think, in that role. After that, we have Michinaki from the Shadowkin. He's a good champion, versatile, does a lot of debuffs and stuff. AoE, decreased defense, decreased attack, hex, and then HP burn. He does pitch in a decent amount of damage for like Hydra and stuff like that. I do actually use this guy a little bit in. He's one of my more preferred champions to use in Grim Forest, just because he does bring some pretty good debuffs like stripping and then decreased defense and then HP burn, just a little bit of damage. So he does, he's one of the better, kind of DPS debuffers that I like to bring in most of my teams for Grim Forest. So he's definitely pretty good there. We do have the new and improved Roxam as well. So instantly they buffed this guy and they're trying to pump him up for the masses. I didn't get a chance to play with this guy, but his kit was heavily improved upon the most recent update for him. He's got an A1 turn meter fill with a perfect veil on himself. That's good. He can self veil himself. He's got an A2, another single target hit here with a turn meter boost. This time on a 3-turn cooldown, he's going to be able to land 100% stun on the target if he's under veil. Also lands 100% sleep on the target if he's attacking without veil. And then he will place perfect veil on himself for 2 turns after attacking without veil. So this ability also gives him veil. He ignores shield, strengthen, unkillable. That's pretty cool on a 3-turn cooldown as well. His A3 here on a 3-turn cooldown as well. When he's under veil or perfect veil, he does an AoE attack and he places decreased defense and weaken. He decreases the cooldown of jungle ambush, which is his A2. for 2 turns. We'll ignore block debuffs, shield, and strengthen. That's pretty good on a 3-turn cooldown as well. So it's a decreased defense, weaken, and a big attack, and a cooldown reset. If he's not under Veil, it's going to be a single target hit, decreased defense, and weaken. And then he places Perfect Veil on himself after attacking. So it's kind of a weird kind of thing. You kind of want to do the jungle ambush, so you put the Veil on himself, and then you can set up for this one. Or you go in with the A1, so you Veil himself. But his A3 is the big attack, AoE attack, but it requires the Veil for the setup. So it's a little bit weird. So you kind of have to set himself up with the Veil A2 first and then go into his AoE. But his AoE has the decreased defense and weaken. So it's a little bit of a mishmash there. But from what I can tell, his multipliers were greatly improved. I haven't playtested him myself, like I said. His passive here places block debuffs, increase attack, and continuous heal whenever they receive a Veil or Perfect Veil. Those are nice buffs. Also place a protected Perfect Veil on this champion for 1 turn whenever an enemy receives a buff from a skill. So if you're going second for whatever reason, he's going to get a Perfect Veil protected. If the target's max HP is higher than this champion, will ignore 15% of the target's defense. If the target's max HP is more than double, then ignore 30% of the target's defense. That's really nice. It's just a flat ignore defense boost. And yeah, the only thing that I can tell is that it's kind of clunky the way it works. You kind of want to use the AoE first, but you don't get the Veil. So then that means you gotta use the A2 first to get the Veil and then go into the A3. But like I said, decreased defense and weaken come on this ability, so I don't know. But it's kind of nice to place the decreased defense and weaken first and then attack. So that's what's happening here before attacking. So it still kind of works. So cool, Roxham there. I'm gonna have to build him out and play test him a little bit, but he seems pretty cool. I like the way he looks too. After that, we have Ragash from the Skinwalkers. Ragash, really good faction, lots of damage dealers in this. Ragash kind of falls off a bit. He's got an A1 self buff with increased defense. He's got an AoE, very good ability here on a 3-turn cooldown, AoE decreased defense and a stun. And then he can do a team buff with strength and increased speed and then Veil himself. His passive also places Veil on the ally with the highest attack, so it kind of protects him a little bit there. And then he self buffs himself with this more 20% more damage against targets with lower defense. So he does have some damage boosting elements, but he doesn't ignore defense, doesn't ignore stone skin or anything like that. So he's gonna get left behind, and he's in a faction with lots of good damage dealers as well. Lastly, for the non-voids, we have Granite Doorkeep. Granite Doorkeep was a more recent fusion. He is supposed to be an HP based damage dealer. This ability can hit pretty hard. It does ignore unkillable stone skin, block damage, all that stuff, and then it does have the 100% damage boost. So this ability can do some damage if you build them out with damage. But this AoE ability, it's just for debuffs. It doesn't hit very hard at all. Decreased defense, block buffs, and then increased accuracy. It's very, very good on a 3-turn cooldown as well. His A1 triple hit. It's going to steal some buffs as well, very high chance, and then it does have the ignore defense. So his A1 actually does okay, and his A3 does okay, but they're both single target abilities, and his AoE just doesn't hit very hard. So, but you can kind of build them out a couple ways, right? You can build them out to focus on the debuffs. You can build them out to focus on the buffs, or you can just build them up as a traditional arena nuker. But he's more of a single target arena nuker. His passive here gives him a chance to kick out of some hard CC, and it gives him additional damage for enemies with no buffs. So, okay champion. I think he was a pretty good fusion. He brings a lot of utility for a lot of accounts. So he's not just a damage dealer. He could be a team support, or he can be a team debuffer. So that's going to be it for the non-voids. As for the voids here, Galut, Son of the Pact. Now, I think this guy didn't really get too much coverage from the Orc faction. So Galut, Son of the Pact. I think he has a cool pass. So let's check out his kit here real quick. He's got an A1. Before attacking, decrease the duration of all buffs on the target by 1 turn. So I guess theoretically you could take away somebody's like stone skin and stuff before you attack. Also has a 100% chance of placing block buffs. This debuff is protected when placed on buffs. Oh yeah, protected block buffs. That could be interesting. It's A2. It's got an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown. Places a stun and a decreased defense. Decrease the turn meter of all enemies without stun by 30%. So turn meter pushback on enemies without stun, and decreased defense. I mean, we saw Ragash. Ragash is the same ability without this turn meter pushback kind of condition. But Galut's he's a void legendary, right? And Odin has a strip before his decreased defense and stun. So obviously the strip is a lot stronger than a conditional stun here. But yeah, this is a pretty good ability still. His A3 comes down to a full team cleanse on the team, then heals everyone by 25% of this champion's max HP. He has really high max HP, so you can build him up for a big heal. And then he places a shield buff equal to 25% of this champion's max HP and a fortify buff on all allies. Now, fortify is a buff that reduces enemy ignore defense effects by 15 or 25%. So in this case, it's going to be a 25% ignore defense, ignore basically. And then his passive here, for every 10 debuffs this champion's team receives, activates the blood of the pack. So it's going to be the cleansing ability, healing ability, and then the shield ability. When activated, the buffs placed by the blood of the pack are protected. That's really good. So 10 debuffs on your team, and then he's instantly going to cleanse everybody, instantly going to heal everybody, and then he's going to place a big shield on everyone. That's really, really strong. And 10 debuffs is probably going to happen pretty quick, especially in PvE content. It's a pretty unique kind of passive, and this is a really strong ability. So both of them together, very, very, very strong. Very, very strong. And then he does bring some CC as well. So he's going to be the Void Champion up for grabs. After that, I do have Odin. Speaking of Odin, Odin's going to be up for the 10x as well, or 15x as well. And we were just talking about his AoE strip with the decreased defense and the stun. This ability is insane for 3-turn cooldown. It's one of the best in the game for this type of ability. He has an A1 place Berserk. This Berserk debuff is very good to put on support champions because they take more damage. And then their damage boost is not that significant because supports don't do any damage. So it's really good just to put the Berserk debuff on somebody that is a support. And then he has this big single target slam here. It's going to be based on enemy max HP, and it has a chance to revive a dead ally when he kills somebody. Again, this ability seems to respond very, very well to high HP support champions. He can definitely one-shot some champions that are really, really tanky. And he has a passive here. It's a super annoying part of his kit. Every 9 turns on the field, so it's a global effect. Every 9 turns, he places block damage on his whole team, and also applies a buff spread effect, which is just crazy. And then he has a 40% void ally speed in arena battles only. If I had a choice, it would be Odin instead of Galut. And then finally, we have from the Skinwalkers, we have Tunisia. Tunisia, there she is. I do have a Tunisia actually, and she does bring a AoE ability, AoE HP burn. That's kind of the big thing with her AoE HP burn. She does have a stun ability as well. So I guess we're talking about stun abilities for day 2. She has the A1 decreased defense, and then she has a single target slam here on the A3. But her big ability is going to be the AoE HP burn with the AoE conditional stun. And her big thing is that she empowers Marius. Now, I kept my Tunisia instead of +1ing my Marius. I just think it's, kind of wasteful at this point to lose a decent champion. It's not like I really use Tunisia, but +1ing Marius to lose a void champion, I don't know. I'm not at that stage. I'm not at that stage in my account to throw away a unique void legendary. But hey, she's gonna be up for grabs on day 2. So like I said, I would probably go for Odin, and then, if you guys want Kassandra, the rest of the non-voids, all the non-voids on both days are very kind of blasé. Like, if you get them, then you get them. They're not really game changing, but they're all good champions. But obviously the biggest draws here are the Assassin's Creed champions. So if you miss, like I said, Kassandra, if you're looking for Basim, for example, then you're going to be kind of fishing for these champions. But keep in mind that going for these progressive events are total crapshoots, and it's so hard to get what you want. So definitely check your expectations. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Like I said, I will be streaming CBC a couple hours after it starts, so make sure you guys drop on by on YouTube. If you guys want to directly support me and my channel, I do have a download link for Raid in my description below. Make sure you guys play through the tutorial, and that would be a big help for me, so I would appreciate that. Otherwise, thanks for watching until the end, guys. Appreciate you all. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.